Hello, and this is Ineedmorcowbell. It is August 1st, 2016. August 1st. I've been doing this for almost 3 months now. Look at that. Anyways, it's Ineedmorcowbell. Did I say that? Did I say it's Ineedmorcowbell? Because this is it. This is I. Not really much happened last week. I mean, like one specific thing happened and it, expanded throughout the weekend, but that's about it. I was supposed to go with my dad to visit my uncle because he has cancer. He didn't just have it. Like, he had something and they thought it was cancer, they thought it was a tumor, but it turned out not to be. It was something completely different. So they were giving him the wrong type of medicine for it. So when they started giving him the right stuff, he got like better almost immediately. And then he developed cancer, and it might be from the previous medicine. I'm not entirely sure, but he I don't know. We ended up not being able to go see him this week. It was too close on time, since my grandmother's funeral was on Friday, so we would have to have left and then come back like within a day or so. And he's in El Paso, so that's an 8-hour drive. So we might see him this week. Otherwise, I'm not sure when we would. My dad's leaving pretty soon, back overseas. I didn't obviously get to stream. I don't even know when I'm gonna get to stream again on Twitch. It's just so impossible to do when your family's always around. When they want something, I don't know, and it's a weird scenario. It's like, well, I like them being around, but I want to stream. I want to be on Twitch and stuff like that. But I don't know. I want to, not just stream video games, but I got a background. My background for I don't know how long now has been Marceline's house from Adventure Time, but not just the house in general. It's actually the house from one of the Grables episodes where he's in the because this guy's in the future, and the house, the tree house where Finn and Jake live is massive, and the Candy Kingdom is gone, and so on. And in one part he goes into the cave where Marceline's house is, and it's still there, a little falling apart, but it's still there. And I have been using that as a desktop for this whole time since that episode, and I'd like to redraw it, so I can upscale it to like 4K and whatever. I don't have a 4K monitor, but somebody might have it, somebody might want it. Oops. So I'd like do those on Twitch too. Just oh god, and then this time I hit the mic. Just redraw it on 4K. Not really redraw it, but like retrace it in like Illustrator so I can upres it. Because it's a pretty simple. There's no real gradients, and the ones that are, I can just redo them real quickly. I haven't even played a lot of Halo 2 also as well. I actually don't have a gameplay video to go along right now, and I'm probably going to do that right after I record this. It's kind of funny though, because I know, they're not really getting, it's not really getting views, but who cares? Nobody cares to see them. But that's not the point. The point is to record myself on these situations and talk and move on. But yeah, before I get into what happened over the weekend with my grandmother's funeral, I have some montages in the works. They'll be done pretty soon, and they'll be up on the old YouTube there. Some Halo 5 montages. I have all these videos that I've been saving, not just for the Halo 5, but I got app reviews. I got all kinds of stuff. Do my LG LG G5 review. I mean, the phone's already kind of old. Nobody's gonna want it. I mean, I'm sure it's still on, websites to get, and there hasn't been a new Samsung either yet, or a new iPhone. So, I mean, maybe it's still popular, but I've run this phone through its paces, and I don't know. I'm finding some flaws. Anyways, so on Friday was my grandmother's funeral, and we had to leave early. On Thursday, my sister and mother got a bunch of flowers, and they made arrangements and stuff like that. So on Friday, we had to go early to the hotel, where the little hall in the hotel where it was going to be, where the wake was going to be at. So we go there, and we're unloading the car, and it's like 112 degrees outside. And is that? I was like, yeah. Luckily, we brought a change of shirt because, geez, I have to wear the dress shirt with a collar and a tie, and it's long sleeve, and just sweating. Anyways, so we get to the hall, and it's a pretty small hall. They only gave a hall for like 90 people, and I think 150 came, so there was a lot of people standing. Later on, so we got to the hall, and we're unloading the boxes of flowers and putting them on the tables, and unloading the cakes and the cookies and putting these boards up. My sister got like the science fair project boards, and put pictures on them of my grandma, and so we had those over there in the corner, and there's a book. We didn't have it, but later on my cousin brought a book that she made from Shutterfly. That's her work. I didn't need to say what it was, right? Anyway, she got the book, and the thing about that is they made a collage at the store, like FedEx or something, and they made it by just putting pictures in the scanner, whereas like they made that in the book, and like some of the images in the book could have been cleaned up a little. Obviously I'm sure they just basically use a template, for the book. Just there's just a picture with a border, and then they just insert all the pictures inside. Real simple. But like, not one time did they ask me for any help in the picture area. I could have fixed up the pictures for the collage. I could have put a nice border on them so they looked a little more professional than just like all these pictures slapped together. But it looked okay. It looked fine. The only thing I helped out in was my mom was putting a not an ad, but it was, she was putting the obituary in the newspaper, and she couldn't upload her picture. No matter, even when I went over, so they asked me for help, and I went over there, couldn't upload the picture either. It just wouldn't go. Oh, excuse me. It just wouldn't upload. Like you push, add picture, and then you push upload picture, and it would just go back to no file chosen. I got to a point where I had to install a whole nother browser just for the picture to go up, and it was weird because the second time my mom did the whole process over again the next day, it uploaded just fine, and then when we went to change something, it didn't upload anymore. So I was like, what the hell? So after we got all the stuff together, we got stuff at the hotel all set up. I had to rearrange the tables because they were put in such a dumb way. that it would have been crowded, and we made it so there's more room where the pictures were at, so people can go and look at them. So after all that, we go to the church, and there's all my mom's side, all of Nana's family, and there's a bunch of people, and I said hi to who I could, because we were kind of late coming from the hotel to the church. I mean, it's just down the street, like 2 miles away, but it was still a little late. Still a little late, and we get there and say hi and see people I haven't seen in years and years, and out of nowhere, one of my uncles, my aunt's, his wife, she goes, she's the only person that's ever asked me this. She goes, are you married yet? Are you married? No. She goes, oh, that's too bad. And I go, well, I just haven't got around to it, But it just completely caught me off guard, because not one person's ever asked about my relationship or that part of my life. And for her to just out of nowhere, somebody who I haven't seen for years, I mean, because I obviously it's because I brought up her daughter. They go, what, how are they doing? Because they weren't there. They mentioned that they got married, so obviously she asked if I got married, because we were about the same age. So loud beverage. So the service started, and called him. I noticed my brother wasn't there, so I called him up and I said, hey, where are you at? He says that he's dropping off the kids. He had them during the week, and now he had to get them back to their mom. And she was late, like always. She was late, and she makes things difficult. And obviously, my brother didn't even ask if he can keep the kids for the funeral. In all fairness, that's fine, because she's just such a terrible person that she obviously wouldn't let the kids go, and she probably make some kind of big fuss or whatever just to keep my brother there longer. She is so infatuated with making my brother's life miserable, even though she's married, and she's pregnant. My brother eventually came, and him and his wife, and the service was going on. Some people got there late, and some people didn't make it. Some people had to work. I called into work on Thursday, because my mom asked me if I was going to go in, and I said, it was like 4 o'clock, so it was an hour or so before, and she told me not to, so I go, okay. So I called up work, and I said, I'm not going to be into work today, or I already said I was going to come in Friday. You're not coming in Friday? Well, no, I told one of the other managers that I was already not coming in Friday. And I go, and I probably won't be in, and I won't be in Saturday, and I probably won't be in Sunday. He goes, what? I go, it's a funeral thing. All right, I'll try and find somebody to cover your shift. I go, all right, thanks. And I hang up. Of course, I was saying, I don't give a damn if you find somebody or not. They'll be fine. There's like 6 to 8 other delivery drivers that are working when I work. So if anything, me not being there just helps them out. They get to split up my sparse amount of deliveries amongst themselves. So, the funeral service goes on, and priest is talking, and he liked to bring up his own family a lot, bringing up his mom and how he was the youngest, and that he was French Indian, and to pardon his accent. He was a nice guy and he did a good service, but he just kept talking about he tried to relate too much. That's what it was. He was trying to relate to us, but it's too much. I sat in the back of the hospital, this back of the church, back far right. I couldn't. My seat was was the front row, and I couldn't be that close. And they had a picture of my grandmother next to the urn, and I couldn't be that close. I couldn't look at it. I was perfectly fine until the service started. So after I came back from calling my brother, I sat in the far back of the church, and I sat off to the right. Everybody was in the center, so I sat off to the right, and I did so I could just watch the whole family, just watching from the outside. Everybody was okay except for they had my uncle had people. I think my uncle was in charge of, setting up the church part and who was going to talk and whatever. So he had all of his daughters talk, and then one of my uncle's daughters talk, and my uncle's daughter was first. No, yeah. My uncle who set up the church, he had all of his daughters talk. And then another uncle, his daughter talked. And his daughter was first. And she got about 3 words before she started crying. And the other girls were a little more professional. Of course, when my uncle came to time to talk at the end of it and talk about my grandmother, he had to step away a few times too. Obviously, the only one who didn't really cry was the priest. But, that's his job. Why would he? He didn't know her, that's for sure. My nana never went to that church. But it was nice. It was a nice service. And then afterwards we went back to the hotel, where there was already tons of people. A lot of people who didn't come to church actually went straight to the hotel. So we were there and met a lot of the family again. There's food. This guy, oh my god. So this guy brings in this food. This caterer who is a friend of my uncle's. My uncle's has a band. They play in a lot of the casinos and events around here. And this guy who has the food, I think, works for my aunt, who does events in general, and he brought, it's Mexican food. He brought fajita style chicken with peppers and onions and stuff, and then he brought there's Spanish rice, beans, shredded green beef, not green. Yeah, green chili beef, tortillas, and the tortillas, the rice, and the chicken and the beef are good. The beans were undercooked, and my uncle he always makes this salsa that everybody likes. So he brought a big thing of salsa and chips, so that made all the food better. But what the caterer brought was a pasta dish. He brings all this Mexican food, and then he brings a pasta dish. And the pasta dish, that's something else. That was something all kinds of entirely different. It had square cuts of cheese in it, like cheddar, Monterey, and then it had cuts of ham or uncooked bacon. That's what it looked like. And then like chunks of it. And then pepperonis. It had all of this stuff in it. And it's like, why did you bring this crap with Mexican food? Like, can you just bring like other Mexican food? Like a bowl of something else, like smashed beans. You get about smashed beans for tortillas. But I mean, he brought pasta, and it was not good. The other food was good, aside from the beans, but the pasta was not. So I got to meet my family, and then afterwards, there's all these cookies and kids running around and people telling stories about Nana, and then we started taking pictures and all kinds of pictures. The only picture that actually had everybody in it was the kids, my grandma's kids. I believe there was 7. I mean, the only ones that are still alive. There were 7, and then we had the spouses come in, and then later on they took a picture with the kids that were there. It's like from what the newspaper said. Because this little paper doesn't say. Oops, jeez. This little paper doesn't say it. It's like my grandmother had like 7 kids, and 40 grandkids, and then 70 great grandkids. But I don't think that's right either. I don't have the paper. After the thing ended at 9, so it was like for 4 hours, and man, was it hot in there. The AC just couldn't keep up with all these people. Like I said, they have seating for 90, but there was far more than 90 there. So some people were sitting outside of the hall, in the hotel area too. And cookies were great. Afterwards, 9 o'clock rolled around, so they're packing up, and a lot of people already left, and the caterer and the bar was closed. Man, they were not prepared at the bar. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna roll in a bar, that way you don't have to go over to the restaurant area. It's like they rolled in the bar, it's like nothing was ready. All the Dos Equis were warm. They had to bring out ice, and they had no orange juice. It's like this is a Mexican thing, and they didn't think it was gonna be like a party. It's like everything is a party. It's like, this is a celebration of life. Like, I don't know what kind of funerals you have, but this is always what a funeral is for us. We drink. We drink to our fallen. And I, as a bartender, Angie, I go, you look like they told you to do this 5 minutes before you got here. And they got pretty much. He's like all stressed out. Angie's hair is all over the place. And afterwards, we, 9 o'clock, 9:30ish, we all leave. And at that point, a monsoon rolls in. Winds are blowing, lightning is showing, sprinkles are falling. There was a miscommunication where we were going to go to my uncle's house to play cards, but he said Saturday and somebody said Sunday, or Friday. He said Saturday, and then my Uncle Bobo's daughter says Sunday. Or no, God damn it. My Uncle Bobo's daughter says, tonight. I was like, were we going to go to my Uncle Bobo's house or my Uncle Boyo's house? And so we go to my Uncle Boyo's house, and we're like sitting there in the parking lot, in the driveway, and like nobody else is here. So I go, did anybody even try that doorbell? So like this whole time, this cat's just like sitting in the doorway, meowing at me to let her in. So I go to the doorbell and I ring it. And my uncle's there. My uncle and his wife are there, and so then we go inside. And then later on, my uncle comes. They had to take. I don't know. They went home to change or something. All we did that night was they just drank and talked about Nana and stuff. And since she was cremated, she's in an urn. obviously, and the transporter, they put her back in the box, and they have one of those reusable tote bags, and then a little to-go box. The next day, we go back to my Uncle Boyle's house, and my uncle comes, and my daughters and whatever, and we play cards. I was very apprehensive about this because the last few years that we played cards, they just want to play Texas Hold'em, and I'm not a fan of it. I was like, what are we? Everybody wants to like bluff and everything, and I was like, no, we don't do that. This is family. I'm not trying to be cool. I'm not trying to be this World Series poker champion guy. So we started playing. I brought a big old cup full of change that I get for tips from Domino's. Actually, I don't get too much from my current place. Anyways, so we started playing cards, and first couple hands is Texas Hold'em or 5-card stud or whatever. Like poker, 5-card draw. But then when it's my turn to deal, I pull out a classic. Good old Mexican Sweat. Mexican Sweat is played basically 7-card, no peek. You turn the cards over to beat the previous hand. When you do, you stop, and then you bet. I think I had I said follow the one-eyed jack is wild. So whoever pulls out, whoever pulls out a Suicide King, that's what it was. Whoever flips a Suicide King, the next card was wild. So, of course, I lost. But what makes it called Mexican Sweat is if anybody brings up a 7, I'll automatically lose. Nothing you have can change it. You just lose. And what sucks is when you're the last person to flip. And I'm not even talking about the dealer. Even being dealer sucks because the next you flip over the card to beat 3, so the next person gets a 5. Okay, so then he bets. Next person gets an 8, so he bets. Next person gets a jack, he bets. Next person gets a queen and king, so on. And by the time it gets to you could have put or you're just playing nickels, dimes, and quarters. By the time it gets to you could have already put $3 in just to flip over your cards and your first card to be a 7, and you're out. But after that game, everybody started playing some of the more sillier games, not all serious Texas Hold'em. My Uncle Ray still played Texas Hold'em. Of course, he had a Texas Hold'em shirt on. So basically, whenever he played Texas Hold'em. Of course, always the highlight of the game is high-low. You get your you get 2 cards. You get your first card, and you get your second card, and say a 4 and a king. Okay, say a 4 and an 8. All right, you can either throw away the hand and just not play, or you can say $1. And if the card is a 7, if the card comes in between the 2 that are in front of you, you get the money. If not, you pay. So we all start off with a higher pot, instead of just a quarter, like $1 or something. And we played I think 3 or 4 games of those. The last game we played was, it was getting kind of late, and my brother already left, and 2 of the other guys already tapped out. 2 of the these weren't, they're not, they married into the family, so they're kind of little off about how things go, so they weren't aware to bring money as in change. And so anyway, the last game, I go $5, so everybody's counting their change and they're making the $5, and so I started flipping cards over, and it was going real good. I did throw over a 3 and a jack. I was like, there's a lot of room there, a lot of room there, and they bet $5, $10, and then I flip over the next card and it's a jack, and because it lands on the same card, you gotta pay. If it was a king, if it was a jack, queen, king, ace, you gotta pay. If it was anything in between the 3 and the jack, you get to keep it. But like when it's right on the border, you gotta pay. And I did that like 5 times. What was really bad was I for myself, I flipped over a 2 and an ace. And since the ace was the second card, it's automatically high, which means it's higher than the king. If you flip over an ace right off, the first card is flipped over and it's, an ace, you can choose for it to be low, which is lower than a 2, or high, which is higher than a king. So high, low. So I go, ace, 2. I go 2 ace. I go, there's a lot of room. There's like almost all room there. So what can I do? What can I do? So I said half. Well, I can only do half because it was you got to go around twice before you can go for the full pot. So I did half, and I flipped over the next card, and it was a 2. God damn it! It was a 2, so I had to pay half the pot, which was $11 because the whole pot was $22. So that wasn't too bad. I mean, but it kept going around like that. Like I'd pull out cards right on the base, right on the edges, so everybody had to keep paying, and it was pretty good. And then at the very end, the last hand was my Uncle Bobo, and what did he get? 2 ace, just like I did. And at this point, he was able to. He looked at it and he goes, "I'll go the whole pot." So I get the card, and when he said pot, I was hoping so much that I would have pulled out another 2 or an ace, just so he'd have to pay it. So then the pot would go up to $70 because the pot was $35. But he got a 5 and he got to keep it. That was fun. My poor brother, he got some bad hands. He went for a half pot, and he went for a whole pot. And he ended up losing like $40 in total. And I mean, he had an ace and an ace, and then he got a third ace. It's like, what the hell, So there's only so much you can do. So that night was fun. Not very, very few people came to play cards, and that was okay. But and then the next day, on Sunday, we had I didn't know about this until I drove my parents home after the cards on Saturday, that my sister was coming over, and like they were gonna have a quinceanera party, a practice at the house, and apparently she asked my mom like 2 weeks ago, but nobody here told me till 2 in the morning the night before. So the next day they wake me up, and I gotta move furniture around because there's no space really for these people to be dancing. And then I had to move stuff around outside in the backyard because you kind of just like moved back in a kind of a hurry, and so the garage is a mess. So Dad reorganized the garage, but he ended up putting a lot of stuff in the patio, so I had to get rid of that stuff. I got to do something with that stuff, so I had to move all that stuff. And what's nice about that is at least I didn't have to clean up the patio by myself, so my dad helped me, and now there's actually space in the patio for me to work outside. So hopefully that'll be fine. Of course, all I got, the only table I got is still this black one over here, this foldable table, so it's nothing sturdy, but it's still better than nothing. Anyway, so we organize all that stuff, and then I find out that my cousin's coming over to swim. His kids aren't in the quinceanera, but they're like 1 and 2, 1 and 3. They're tiny, they're little babies. So he's coming over to swim, and And, just because he asked. He's like, because I could swim. And it turns out he usually goes to his brother's house. But his brothers went over to the Cardinals camp. And, his daughter is in the quinceanera also. So there's nobody at the house. So he can't just go swim because they're all here. When I go in the house from being outside and I had to clean up the pool because of that storm on Friday, just put tons of leaves in it. I'm in my pajamas. I was moving stuff in my pajamas, and now there's all these people here. As I'm walking around in my pajamas, my hair's a mess. You'll see. I've been I started taking a picture every morning since last January for my bed head, just because it's always all over the damn place. And I was supposed to make a video in January this year because it would have been a year. And now I'm like at a year and a half of just pictures of my hair. But yeah, just walking through all these kids. I know most of them anyways. I know, it's funny, it's like I know all the girls in the thing because they're my niece and cousins. But all the boys, are obviously somebody else. They're not related to me, technically, so I don't know who they were. And man, there was just one kid, my niece's partner. He is huge. It's like 6'2" or something. He's bigger than me. And maybe, I don't know. I never got next to him because I was in the kitchen because they were dancing. But he was a big boy. And he had the tattoo on his arm and everything. And it turns out he's only like 15. This kid's huge. And my niece is real small compared to him. And what's funny is, after a while, everybody was, enjoying themselves, having a good dance and whatever. And learning to practice and everything. And this kid was just like, he just had like no emotion in his face. And he was just, it's like he was unhappy to be there. And he just wanted to chew his gum. And I told my sister, I go, that boy needs to liven up next time. Hopefully. His dad is my brother-in-law's friend. So hopefully next weekend his dad will bring him, and since those two guys will be together and they'll have a good time, hopefully he'll loosen up, because apparently he's a real nice kid, real funny, and he's just shy, but he just looks like an angry piss ball. He needed a good slap across the face. But all the girls are scared of him because, again, he had a tattoo and he was huge compared to them. And it was just funny. I was watching. They were dancing for like 2 hours, and not one time did they ever figure out like what they really had to do. They kept doing the dance over and over again, or they're watching videos on YouTube. And oh man, her quinceanera's in a month, so hopefully they'll figure it out. I'm in it, apparently. I'm not sure how, but all I gotta do is just get a suit and walk in. I don't really know why I'm doing it. Well, I know why I'm doing it, but I don't really know what I need to do. So yeah. So that was yesterday. That was the weekend. That was my last week. I didn't do anything else besides that. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go visit my uncle this week. I don't know if we're going to get to before my dad leaves. I took off the whole week for work last week, so I got to go to work this week. I really don't want to. I really don't care about going back. But I don't know. I gotta make it work. So that's it for this week on the old podcast. Short one. That's okay. I didn't have too much to talk about. Too much extra. Try and get some stuff online, like I always say. This time, hopefully, I'll actually do it because I got some stuff working. I got some stuff finished. I just gotta. I got all my clips like edited in such a way I got to put them together. But of course, after this, I gotta, have some gameplay video to go along with the audio for the YouTube section. So that's it for me. Good old Cowbell. I'll see you guys next week.
Plasma caster in 10 seconds.
Brawler.
Plasma caster up. Plasma caster ready.
From the grave. Way to victory. Gain the lead.
caster in 10 seconds. Plasma caster up.
Lost the lead. Remain. Lost the lead.
Plasma caster in 10 seconds.
Double kill. 5 kills to win. Gain the lead.
Plasma caster ready.
Combat evolved. Combo. 2 minutes left.
Plasma caster ready.
Big gun.